Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Russia, Taiwan, and a missile crisis. Now, I'm not trying to string you along, but I've got to ask you to watch towards the end when I start talking about Russia and the missile crisis, because I've got to kind of lead up to it for you to help understand kind of where we're going with this. So stay to the end today. Okay, so here we are. You should be watching this on about around the 28th on a Tuesday. And as of Tuesday, at least according to HeebCal, that's where I get my information for the feasts, there's 17 days left in the counting of the Omer. Now, I've got a good friend of mine that's doing some double checking, because there's an old joke that says if you got two Jews, you got three opinions. And there's a lot of different opinions on the counting of the Omer and the feast days. And anyway, so we're trying to double check that just to let you know we're trying to bring you the most accurate information. And right now, based on the information we have, the last day of the counting of the Omer would be June 13th. Also, if you need some gold or silver, 800-200-GOLD, josephkitchen.com. There's an S in there, josephskitchen.com, to get you some food. Also, if God has blessed you, you can help us. Now would be a really good time. I got to move along. We've got lots to cover. The world's top chip makers can flip a kill switch should China invade Taiwan, Bloomberg reports. Now, a large part of what we're going to be talking about today is China attacking Taiwan. So one of the big questions is, you may be asking yourself, so why is such a big hubbub over Taiwan? I mean, is Taiwan really that important? So that's the first point I'm going to make. Two of the world's most important chip companies can, quote, flip a kill switch remotely on their most advanced chip making machines, and should China invade Taiwan. Now, it doesn't exactly say what does that mean. Whether that means it kills the chips, kills the things that make the chips, or kill the things that they make the chips with, I don't know. Netherlands, ASML, Europe's top tech company by market value, supplies advanced machines to chip-making companies. They include Taiwan's TSMC, which provides or produces, by some estimates, 90% of the world's most advanced processor chips. That's it. Okay, in other words, without the advanced processor chips, big problems. Taiwan is the world's epicenter for semiconductor chips, the ubiquitous parts that are used in products from data centers to smartphones. A war in the region, here it is, would have major consequences for the global economy. So Taiwan, computers, chips, they're ubiquitous. They go together. The U.S., citing national security concerns, imposed restrictions on China under the Advanced Computing Chips Rule in November. The restrictions made it harder for the East Asian giant to import advanced AI chips from American manufacturers. Now, I'm going to say why. Okay, so isn't that making China thinking maybe more so a reason to attack Taiwan? Okay, again, America's making a lot of bad mistakes. We're making a lot of enemies around the globe thanks to our current administration. The U.S. has also pressured the Netherlands to block some ASML exports to China. Why? Why? Okay, well, maybe it's because we're trying to keep China from getting advanced technology, or maybe we're just trying to make China angry at us. China to limit the country's ability to manufacture advanced chips. The Dutch company has also said it will stop servicing some equipment previously exported to China. ASML assured Dutch officials about the option to push the kill switch when they met the company, per the media outlet. Taiwan's TSMC is the largest buyer of these 200 million euro or $217 million machines. They print the tiny microchip transistors used to make chips for artificial intelligence. Now we see. And military applications. Okay, so I can see why China wants Taiwan. If they want to rule the world, you got to have the best intelligence and you got to have the best military. Chip-making supply chains are changing amid heightened geopolitical tensions. TSMC is diversifying production with a second facility in Arizona and upcoming new plants in Japan and Germany, but they take a while to come online. In other words, it's too little too late. The U.S. is also taking steps to boost chip manufacturing through the CHIPS Act, which provides billions of dollars in subsidies for domestic production, research, and workforce in development. But NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang told Bloomberg TV on Tuesday that the world's tech sector is likely to continue depending on Taiwanese manufacturing for some time. Next article. Why investors need to take Taiwan chipmaker risk seriously. Okay, so we need to be paying attention to this too. Semiconductors are at the heart of the AI revolution, which I think is going to be the image of the beast. And with chip makers leading the charge, it raises questions about the implications for nations reliant on international chip manufacturers. Miller notes that the leading chip makers in the U.S. heavily depend on the semiconductor giants in Taiwan, stating it does present a risk that I think investors have to take very seriously. And it says that China faces challenges in manufacturing high-end chips, and right now, I got to get them all from Taiwan. So why is Taiwan important? If you want to continue to have the world that we have to now, Taiwan is required. Okay, now let's bring in the military. This is straight from HalTurnerRadioshow.com. He is normally pretty accurate, but I want to give you a disclaimer. I cannot prove a lot of the stuff that he says on his program or on his website. But he says Taiwan is now surrounded by the China Navy, and he puts a couple of articles in here which you can pause and read and look at. But he says Taiwan is surrounded by the China Navy. The Chinese government is saying this is an exercise, but Taiwan believes an invasion is coming, so does the USA. As a result of China's military moves, Taiwan deployed its Coast Guard. So, it could happen. Intelligence sources told me that the meeting between the Russian President Vladimir Putin, which I talked about last couple of days, which took place in Beijing last week, military adventures were among the topics to the two leaders discussed. My opinion, I think they were talking about what they're going to do in future wars. That would include America, that would include Taiwan. The intelligent guys say that China sees Trump is making a very hard run for re-election. I think they know he's about to win. And they know that they will not stand a chance of taking Taiwan if Trump gets back in. So they're thinking they have to do something before January 20th. Now, let me just say, maybe I should save this for a topic for another day, but I'll kind of give you a little bit of a teaser here. Dan Bowler spoke for Prophecy Club back in 1997, I believe. Made a DVD called Coming Judgment on America. And I remember one of the things he prophesied was the last president that America would have would be a woman. Right now, the only woman that could slide into that position would be KH. So a lot of people are prophesying that JB is not going to be lasting too much longer. I don't know how to put those words. And if something were to happen to JB, then maybe KH would step in. And maybe, I don't think Trump is going to be the next president. I think the prophecies say he'll be the next commander-in-chief or king of America. Let's see. Goes on to the article. China also knows that the U.S. is seriously weakened now due to our supplying Ukraine with weaponry. We've talked about this. To fight Russia. So short of missiles in the United States Navy that when a destroyer missile cruiser returns to port from sea duty, its missiles must be taken off the ship to be placed on another ship which is going out to sea duty. In other words, we're out of bullets. We're out of snowballs for the snowball fight. We're out of rocks for the rock fight. Joe Biden is seen as a dementia-addled incompetent. Surprise, surprise. All these things add up to China making a move against Taiwan sooner rather than later. The U.S. is seeing what China is doing, has dispatched the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier to the port in Japan. In other words, maybe Vicky Parnell, Byron Searle, and Terry Bennett, maybe they are right. Maybe we're in the tribulation. I'm not ready to say that yet, but there's a lot of things pointing in that direction. Let's go on. Next article. Taiwan dispatches military forces to areas around island after China starts punishment drills. That's what this guy is saying. Taiwan's military mobilized his forces and said it was confident that he could protect the island from China. Exercises in Taiwan Strait and around groups of Taiwan-controlled islands that sit next to the Chinese coast, they say they can protect it. He called on China to stop its threats. Now, let's go on. So Byron Searle is one of the guys that says that the Lord told him that we are in the tribulation. He had a vision about Taiwan. I was given a vision during my prayer time with the Lord. The first thing that came to view were several large red blocks. They were perfectly square, six-sided red blocks. They seemed to be about 10 blocks in number. They were all connected to each other by what looked like some kind of rope or cable, making a large circle. These blocks seemed to be floating by my view in a rotating circle. As the blocks were going around in a circle, each individual block was also spinning around and showing each of their 6 sides to me. As they went on my view one by one, I could see that there was some writing on each of the red blocks, and it was in gold letters. I could not read or understand the writing, but having been stationed for 2 years in Japan, I was familiar, and I could tell that they were of Oriental script. It was then brought to my view that these red blocks were actually boats, what he's saying, circling the island, just like is happening now, okay? I could see the island and the blocks were floating in the water just along the coastline. I then came to know and understand that this island is Taiwan. The vision ended. I asked the Lord, what does this mean? He said, the writing on the blocks are warnings to the nations. These are the words written on the blocks. Danger, stay away or face destruction. This island is ours, keep clear, China is one, stealth is critical, death now. Now, who is saying that? Well, it's the Lord saying that, but who is he repeating? Since it says the land is ours, stay away, China is one, it's saying that these are the warnings of China. It's saying this is what China is thinking regarding Taiwan. Let's go on. Then the Lord said, my son prophesied to Taiwan, saying the dragon is about to tear and rip up the land apart. I've heard the prayers of my children on the island, and I say, fear not. The dragon will take down all military bases in speedy fashion. The land will be taken very quickly with minimum destruction and death to non-military people. The eagle will be overwhelmed by the dragon and will not stand up again. The economy of the eagle will totally collapse as politicians try to shore up relations with the dragon. How many prophecies do we say that they have right now that says the dollar is going to collapse and become worthless as leaves blowing in the wind? Afterward, the dragon will move on the people and the land as that it detests. Japan will fall next. Much death and destruction will occur as the dragon looks for payback for what Japan has done to its people, talking about World War II. America will not be able to help as the bear has taken America's war goods. How's the bear taken America's war goods? We've sent all of our money and our weapons over to Ukraine. You see, that's all part of the plan. My children in Taiwan and Japan, repent now, for the attack will be lightning fast. Trust in me for your protection. Pray for your children. I love you all, but now is the season of war upon you. Now let's go to what Dana Coverstone was told. This is summarized. I dreamed I was watching a large passenger plane with an American flag on its tail wing. It began slight, normal descents to the people aboard, though the windows appeared unafraid, reading magazines, listening through headphones, resting and sleeping, kind of like it is right now. In other words, the plane started gradually going down. People were not woke up by this. Suddenly, the plane did a nosedive. Boom. By the way, I think it's interesting that there was a plane that did a nosedive in the news just a couple of days ago. A Boeing plane all of a sudden just straight down. Maybe that's confirmation. Anyway, suddenly the plane did a nosedive straight down. The people on board made no changes in their activity. In other words, there's no sports stadiums filled. There's no one repenting. The churches don't fill up. I saw naval ships around aimed heavy-caliber weapons at Taiwan, drawing closer to the nation. I saw military leaders in China pushing military pieces on a table planning map. There were radio communications, and leadership was sitting near a red button. There was angry speech and the pounding fists on the table. The Chinese leader was also staring at a phone in his hand and rocking nervously in an old-fashioned American rocking chair that did not fit the decor in the room. I saw a table set beside St. Basil's Cathedral near the Kremlin. Putin and his military leaders were having a picnic with empty wine bottles, not vodka bottles, on the table. Putin was holding his side in pain and not drinking. Now, there's been several prophecies that say that Putin is really sick and he's not going to live much longer. Okay? He had a cell phone in his hand, was staring at it while sitting in the same kind of rocking chair as the Chinese leader. Putin was very calm and relaxed and untouched by the boisterous generals around him. The scene changed. Stick with me. I'm about to give you something that'll really open your eyes. Scene changed. European leaders were discussing the surrounding of Taiwan and what should be done to help them. The decision was made to let the world leaders of the United States and Britain handle the crisis, as they had faith in that plan. Each of the leaders stood and shook hands while wiping the sweat from their brow. Then I saw a split screen of both the Chinese leader and Putin hit send on their phones at the same time. Got it? Both of them did something at the same time. Probably announced the attack. That's my guess. Send on their phone at the same time. The leaders then casually shut their eyes and began to go to sleep. The Navy ships quickly turned away from Taiwan. I saw missiles raining down on Ukraine. It was a larger issue than reported in the news. Right now, I just read an article that says that Russia is saying they want peace, but also that Ukraine has to be willing to cede some land to Russia. And my guess is that the United States is probably going to say we're going to have nothing of it. In other words, the United States is egging on a lot of problems that eventually is going to be our destruction. I saw large missile silos all over the western Russia uncovered and smoke coming out, but no launch took place. One large rocket launched from a Chinese ship headed east from Taiwan at hypersonic speed, but the trajectory stopped over the middle of America. So either they blew it up or the Lord took it out. Now, here comes the important part. The plane of the first part of the dream dropped below the lowest clouds. I saw the land patterns on the ground below. There was an explosion just before the plane and just above the plane, and it lost all power. I think that that's probably talking about some kind of a cyber attack on our electrical grid, and America loses power. The first time the descent was directed by the pilot, but now the lights inside the plane went out. People became aware that their music had stopped and the TVs were off, and they were looking out the windows in shock. There was screaming and beating on the pilot's door in absolute panic. Then it went completely dark. Grid goes down. As the plane was going straight down, the man I always see, that would be the angel who speaks to him, he said out through the window to me and says, I told them to pray, but they did not. They need to take it seriously now. You know, if Trump would just say, I'm asking everyone to pray for my nation, for America. I'm asking everyone to pray for me. That would be huge. But he doesn't do that. And there's more than one email. By the way, thank you for your emails. Today and many of the days, your emails make the program. So thank you. There are some emails that come to me where people say, I wonder if he's really the good guy that we want to believe that he is. I don't know. Now, here's the important part. Here's why you stayed 20 minutes into the program to get this. And I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I cannot prove this is taking place. Matter of fact, I can't prove a lot of this, but we accept it by the Holy Spirit speaking to our heart. This is accurate. Russia early warning nuclear missile radar attacked. One of Russia's absolutely key over-the-horizon nuclear early warning radar sites has been hit by a drone attack, blinding Russia from missiles launched at them from the Middle East. The 818 separate radio tactical unit at the Amvar radio station located in someplace in Russia is now knocked out. Here are the images of the two gigantic radar buildings of the radar site. With the damage to the two radar stations in the Amvar radio station, There is now a gaping hole in Russia's early warning system against nuclear attack. Russia is now a sitting duck for a nuclear first strike, not only against the strategic nuclear missile silos, but also against the major population centers inside Russia. Submarine-launched nukes from the far eastern Mediterranean, land-launched or even air-launched missiles from Turkey, here it is, or from Israel, sub-launched missiles from the Red Sea, all can no longer be detected by Russia. Now, Stan, do you believe this? Not exactly. I don't think, I suspect it probably was not Israel. I'm not even suspecting that they are really blinded. I'm really shocked that the Russia would let that happen. So I'm skeptical. But let's go on. Of course, this is being credited to Ukraine, but the radar stations that were hit do not cover Ukraine, clearly. This hit was concocted by the US, EU, and NATO. I'm not convinced of that. They are the only entities that benefit from this. Correction. There is another beneficiary, Israel, can now launch ballistic or nuclear missiles at Iran, Russia, and Russia will not be able to warn Iran. Why would we do this? Unless we're planning a first strike nuclear upon Russia. I don't think, there's no prophecies that say that comes to pass. So, frankly, I don't think any of this right here, so matter of fact, I'll let you pause and read the rest of it. I don't see any reason reading. I think we need to get to this. This is where it's really going to happen. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. I'm now starting to think more and more that this could happen this year. It could be associated with the election. It could be that Trump does win, and for whatever reason, they don't put him in. We talked about that. I don't know. I used to think, no, it's still several years off, but now I'm starting to think, maybe we do see the internal revolution this year. I don't know. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. I think that that's the left that has been living in America for a long time, and it's also the illegal immigrants that have come across and have been given debit cards with $5,000 apparently a month on them, and also they've been given encoded or encrypted, that's the word, encrypted cell phones. And it could be that some of the prophecies are saying that they are gathering these people up, putting them into an inside army. So now we have an army controlled by the deep state inside our borders, inside our fence. So some of the people start fighting against the government be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries attack and defeat us in 1 hour. You can read the rest of it if you want to. But let me tie this together. So this all, since we're talking about the internal revolution, it may very well be that this is the internal revolution right down here. Now, what would that mean? Probably the 30% drop in the dollar is either already or just about to be fulfilled. Then inflation already is reaching a very high. We haven't seen the food shortage yet, but that's just around the corner. Riots and civil unrest, we've seen riots, but we haven't seen people holding up signs that says entitlement checks. Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution reached, that is, what I say, 21 days away from being fulfilled, if we've got our peace dates correct. Then major earthquake, we could see that by the end of June of 2024. Again, if we split Israel, God is going to split America. So, could we see the internal revolution the latter part of this year? Yep, absolutely we could. Military takes charge. Then we see they are openly saying they're going to bring in a new digital currency latter part of 24, early part of 25. Seen several articles on that. So how far are we away? I was wanting to think this is 2 or 3 years away. Maybe not. So let me remind you, we're watching to see if Israel will give the Palestinians a state. We're watching for the newspaper headline. The words would be Omer ushers in Palestinian state. We do not know what newspaper Or for that matter, we don't know necessarily it's going to happen this year, but we're watching to see if it happens. And if America splits Israel, God is going to split America. So may I recommend you get this book. It's God's Warnings to America. I did not write it. All I did was assemble it. It's about 40 years worth of prophecies I've gathered up. And a lot of these prophecies, I would say 95% of the prophecies that I read on the program are right here in this book. Get this book. Also, I recommend you get my book, Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. I believe, well, here it is. A prophet that did not know I'd written a book, did not know me, just walked in and with one of our congregation members and introduced, and I asked him for a prophecy. This is part of what he said. There's a lock I put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn many books written on the end time message into obsolete books. Meaning, I think the day is going to arrive when this book will sell millions. It would not surprise me, but what it outsells the late great Planet Earth, which I think sold some 28 million copies I read someplace a long time ago. Also, I'd recommend you go to prophecyclub.com, get our 40-book package. This is a gift of 40 books for a gift of $100. 40 books, $100, prophecyclub.com. I recommend if you want to have your wealth not lost, if you've got it in an IRA, if you got it in a 401k, if you got it in a bank, if your wealth is in paper, as Lindsay Williams said, it's worth the paper it's written on. In other words, it's about to be worthless. So I'll send you to prophecyclubgold.com. You can also reach them. Call 800-200-4653. 800-200-4653. They'll give you some ideas on what to do. That is their job, to help you not lose your wealth. I also recommend you go to josephkitchen.com. Get yourself a machine package. That's the wherewithal to grind the wheat berries into flour, put those into a bread machine with 5 other ingredients, push about 2 hours and 40 minutes later, and have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. I've had many people email me. They absolutely love the bread. They love the whole idea. And see, because it's long-term storage food. And as in the days of Pharaoh, what fed the world for 7 years? It was wheat. I believe wheat is God's food for famines, for God's famine food. There is no perfect one food a person could eat for their whole lifetime and be totally healthy. But in my opinion, bread may come the closest. I mean, why does God call us the wheat? Wheat and the tares, okay. I think it's because the primary thing we're supposed to be eating is wheat. So go there, and then after you get the machine package, that's all of the mechanical things to make the bread, then you decide how much food you want. By the way, most of your long-term storage food, you're talking $9,000 or $10,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Did you get that? $9,000 to $10,000, one person 1 year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for about $1,000 per person. We're not talking about half price. We're not talking about 80% less. We're talking about like 90% less than what the other people can tell you that they can get you long-term storage for. I do not know of anybody that can beat that. This is an actual loaf of bread that I actually made. I eat bread. I mean, I also have to say that it's brought my cholesterol down. It's brought my blood pressure down. And that I don't get hungry as often. I typically will have a slice for breakfast and a slice for lunch and then a normal meal for whatever. And I've lost, 30 pounds over the last year. And in my opinion, I think the primary thing is that did it was, of course, watching what I eat and, all the other things, but bread. So I eat bread as the primary source. And it'll reduce your food budget too. Anyway, go check it out. So what is an EMP Shield device? It's a device you can put on your car and your house that in an EMP attack is supposed to stop the attack. And if you go to empshield.com and if you use the promo code prophecy, they give you a $50 discount. They also have videos up there Shows you how to install it on your car and your house and everything, and it's not difficult at all. I've got one of them right here. Red goes to red, black goes to black, green goes to the car, body of your car, and you just peel it off the back, stick it under there. Got another device that goes on your house. So not complicated. Take you about 10 minutes to put them in. So empshield.com, promo code is prophecy.